Am I the asshole for not waking up a tourist who overslept and missed the day trip she paid for? Hi guys, I'm 21 female, a Bulgarian tour guide who accompanies groups to Sicily. On a recent trip, one woman who was traveling alone, mid-30s, was consistently oversleeping. The first day after we arrived, we had a day trip to Etna and Taormina, for which we depart at 8 a.m., as we do all other day tours. I make sure that all tourists are informed of the departure times on the bus the day before, and they also have my number to call in case they forget so I can remind them. They also all have printed out pamphlets with the schedule made by the travel agency that I hand out that has the time for departure on it. All of the group was on time, except one woman. She was late by 10 minutes, which, okay, maybe she got caught up in something and was late. I excused it, then mentioned to the whole bus in the mic that I do not tolerate lateness beyond 15 minutes at most in case of emergency like a forgotten possession, and that I must always be called and informed in case someone is running late. Trip went by okay otherwise. The next day this same tourist was late again, by 25 minutes. Almost an entire half hour. I called her twice to no answer and we were just about to leave without her when she came out running and got on the bus. She got lucky, as the receptionist of the hotel asked me about a missing piece of info on the rooming list and earned her some time. I reminded everyone again that I will not be waiting anymore for late tourists in the morning, and waking up on time is their responsibility. When we came back that evening, she asked me if I could make sure to wake her up on time. I reminded her a third time that I'm not responsible for waking people up. Everyone gets a printed itinerary with departure times, and I announce everything the day before. She kept saying, no, just knock on my door if I'm not out by 8:15, and I kept repeating, I really can't do that for everyone, please set an alarm. Well, on the day we were visiting Syracuse, she didn't show up. I waited 15 minutes after the supposed departure time, called her twice to no response, then left with the bus and the rest of the group. She called me in a panic about an hour later asking where we were. I explained the situation calmly. She got angry and said that I had one job and that I cheated her out of the money she paid to go on that day trip. She missed the whole day trip and was furious the next day. Later she told the rest of the group that I abandoned her and also called my agency, leaving a bad review about me. Am I the asshole for not personally waking up a grown woman despite warning her multiple times I wouldn't? This woman could have also requested a wake-up call from her hotel. I'm an avid traveler. I'd be angry to sit on the bus every morning waiting on someone who is chronically late. Time is money, and she'd be wasting mine. If she's worried about hers, she needs to set an alarm. If she complained to other guests, I guarantee you they weren't feeling bad for her. Not the asshole. Anyone notice that the tardy tourist was asking Op to knock on her door 15 minutes after the scheduled departure time? Which would mean, if they were still asleep, even longer waiting time. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If you were a cruise ship operator, her lack of being able to be on time would cause her to be left behind at a port. Watch YouTube videos of cruise passengers, who are special, and think they can hold up the entire group. They get left. As long as you can document her late antics with your tour agency, you should be fine. Also have them add language in their contracts about being late, and it's not the tour operator and guide's responsibility to wake people up and ensure they're on time. Not the asshole. The other people on the tour also paid. Her not showing up is her issue. Not the asshole. How was she not embarrassed after day one? Repeated behavior like that truly shows you do not care about anyone but yourself. Also, she took an hour to call you. So not only was she late, she was getting later each day. That's outrageous behavior. Am I the asshole for not letting my sister and her friends have my house for her B-Day weekend? I, 25F, live in the basement unit of my friend's house. It is a complete separate unit and I pay rent, however the big backyard is a shared space. My younger sister Teresa, 22F, lives at home with my parents still, which is about 20 minutes from my house. It is Teresa's B-Day in a couple weekends, on the long weekend, and she has asked me to give up my house from Friday to Monday so her and 12 of her friends who I've met maybe once can party without my parents being around. I told her I would be fine with them staying for one night of the weekend, either Saturday to Sunday, or Sunday to Monday. But I would not want to give my place up for the full weekend. She said that will not work because her friend Samantha has her B-Day a day after and they both want to have a full day of partying, therefore they would need to be partying Saturday and Sunday and won't be able to leave Sunday night. Teresa usually has her B-Day celebration for a weekend at our cottage, however it is under renovations this year and is not available. I have seen how the cottage looks after the weekend and it is absolutely trashed and not cleaned up whatsoever, stains and food everywhere and the floor is covered in sticky, old drinks. My parents also never do anything to make Teresa see that's very inconsiderate, so she continues to do it. She has given options to me like they will all tent in the backyard and won't bother me if I'm there, but they will still have to use my kitchen for food and my bathroom, and there's no way if 12 people who are 22 years old see 2 bedrooms they won't use the bed. Also, after 3 days of partying I'm sure people will be puking. I don't trust they will clean that up either in the backyard or my bathroom. It is also a shared backyard. I don't feel comfortable letting a bunch of random people in the backyard for 3 days straight when my friend, who owns the house, will most likely want to use the backyard at some point. Teresa is now mad at me, calling me an asshole for not letting her party in my backyard and basement unit all weekend, and says now she'll do nothing for her b-day now because all cottages or campsites within a 5-hour drive are all booked up. I said it is not my fault that her and her friends have decided to start planning a week and a half before the long weekend. I think my offer for one night is nice enough considering I don't know any of her friends very well, and I know I'll be cleaning up after them the next day. She refuses to only party for one day and night though. So am I the asshole for not letting my sister use my house for the full long weekend for her b-day? Not the asshole. First of all, it's not your property to lend out, let alone the risk and liabilities of random folks drinking and tearing up the place. Sister needs to check her entitlement. Tell her your landlord said no. End of discussion. Not the asshole. Absolutely don't let her and her friends stay even one night. This is not your property and you know she's gone to trash it. Your friend, landlord is absolutely not going to want a big crowd of kids taking over their house, yard. Letting them stay, especially with no landlord permission, will likely get you evicted. Not the asshole. Her friend Samantha has her b-day a day after and they both want to have a full day of partying. Perfect, have fun at Samantha's place. Not the asshole. That is a legal liability you don't want to take on. Tell them to book a hotel like normal people. Their failure to plan properly does not constitute an emergency on your part. Not the asshole. You don't even own the house. You're renting a room. If your sister wants to party, she should rent her own venue for that. I notice that your parents aren't volunteering the house where she actually lives for this party, either. There's a good reason for that. Am I the asshole for not giving my roommate my half of the security deposit? So I was sharing an apartment with another roommate. Our security deposit was $1,000, split evenly between us. We each contributed $500. At the end of our lease, we both decided we would be ending it. The last month of our lease, I was super busy, so I decided to just give up the security deposit and let the landlord deal with the apartment, and I'll just eat whatever cleaning cost that they want to deduct from the deposit. My roommate, however, wanted the full security deposit back. So I told her, sure, go ahead and clean. I'll send you the full amount back. If they deduct anything, I'll cover it then. So she cleaned the entire apartment, including the common area, living room, kitchen, bathroom, as well as her own room. The only place she didn't clean was my room, which was fine with me. After we had moved out for about a month, the landlord sent me a check for the return of the security deposit, which was $750. They had to do some deeper cleaning that my roommate couldn't do in the common areas, as well as my room which I didn't clean. This is something I had expected, since we had lived in that apartment for 5 years, there was no way my roommate could have cleaned it up to professional standards. A $250 loss after 5 years is not bad though in my opinion. So as promised, I sent my roommate her full $500 back and took that $250 loss on myself. Now my roommate is blowing TF up, saying when I said I would send her the full amount, she thought I meant the entire $750 amount. She argued that because she cleaned and I didn't, that meant she should be entitled to my part of the deposit too. I told her that I never hired or asked her to clean, and I'm not a bank for her money to grow interest. She cleaned to get her full deposit back, not to get more money from me. She called me an asshole and blocked me on social media lol. Our mutual friends are split, some think I'm right, some think I should have given her that extra $250. Am I really the asshole in this situation? You are the asshole. Why did you think you could unilaterally decide to give up the security deposit because you didn't feel like cleaning anything? You are the asshole. Sure, go ahead and clean. I'll send you the full amount back. If they deduct anything, I'll cover it then. You literally told her you would give her the full amount back. They gave you back $750. She should get the $750. You walked away from the security deposit because you didn't want to clean. If you'd told her, I'll give you your deposit back and any cleaning charges will come out of my half, that would be a different story. I assume that's what you meant, but you told her you'd give her the full deposit back. You are the asshole. The only reason you got the $250 back was that she cleaned the apt. You are the asshole just for refusing to do your share of the work. You are the asshole for not being clear. Full amount does sound like the full deposit, not your full half of the deposit. Plus you said you'd make up any difference, so to be honest it sounds like you actually owe her $500. The least you could do is give her $250. You are the asshole. Yeah, you owe her $250, since you didn't clean, that's her money. She cleaned the common areas, you did nothing. I think she deserves the entire thing. If she had adopted your attitude, would you have gotten anything back? Am I the asshole for leaving my mom to drown in work? I've worked with my mom since 2022. She owns a small business that made $60 minus $100K per year when I joined. I helped her grow it to $380,000 last year. I manage most of the business side and also do service work. About a year in, she offered to make me an equal partner. I said no. I want to move out of state and don't want to be tied down. Still, she defers to me a lot, especially with things she doesn't understand. Recently, she decided to reintroduce a service I strongly disagreed with. I don't hate the service itself, but when she and her husband offered it years ago, it led to them working past midnight, often needing my help, even when I had school early the next day. It turned me off the whole industry for years, despite being good at it and enjoying the work. She wanted to add the service again due to recent legal changes that could hurt the business. She sees this as future-proof. I partly agree, but I think it'll eventually be impacted too. I pushed for a pivot to a related but new area. It's slower growth, but healthier long-term. I told her the business is already disorganized and overwhelmed, and the new service is fast-paced and deadline-heavy. She agreed in theory, but said my idea wouldn't scale fast enough. When I kept pushing back, she pulled the "it's my business" card. I told her that's her right, but I wouldn't sacrifice my work-life balance again and would quit if forced to. We eventually agreed. If the new service required after-hours work, she'd handle it herself. That was 6 weeks ago. Since then, I've already stayed late once because she didn't know how to use the tech. She also asked me to stay late tomorrow for an unrelated deadline, and I agreed. Today, I finished my work early and said I'd clock out to offset overtime. She was clearly annoyed. Later, she texted saying she's overwhelmed from the new service. I didn't respond because I didn't know how to without saying, "I told you so." I feel bad, but I've warned her for years that the business is too disorganized and unsustainable. She always shut down suggestions because they'd require slowing down. Also, our history is complicated. She made big decisions when I was younger that negatively affected me. I've had to deal with trauma from some of them. I'm tired of paying the price for her choices. I'm exhausted and emotionally drained, and the same issues affecting the business are affecting my mental health too. She even suggested I take an extra day off, but there's always something urgent that comes up. Now she's overwhelmed, and I feel guilty. But I knew this would happen, and I don't want to be the fallback again. If I say yes once, it'll become the norm. So, am I the asshole for not helping her now, even though I know she's drowning? Edit. We are planning to hire more staff. It's just been so busy these last 2 months, that we haven't really had the time to advertise, let alone interview. Do not feel guilty. You told her clearly you're not interested in helping with the reintroduced service. She decided to proceed anyway. Now she has to deal with the consequences. Good luck to her. You're absolutely not the asshole. Not the asshole. Mom, you're hard-working and smart. I'm sure you'll find a way to make it work. Is a lot better than, "I told you so." Keep your boundaries and be on the lookout for other opportunities outside the family business. You might also prompt her to consider hiring non-family members who specialize in the new service. Not the asshole, and you are not leaving her to drown in work. If she needs more help, she will have to hire someone. You are just refusing to do the work of 2 people, as agreed to prior to offering the service. This is a heartwarming story about the making and maintenance of healthy boundaries with close family. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You didn't leave your mom to drown. You stepped away from the water after she insisted she could swim just fine. You warned her. You offered alternatives. You set a boundary. She chose not to listen, and now she's dealing with the consequences of a choice she made. The fact that you haven't even said, "I told you so," shows incredible restraint. You're not abandoning her, you're just refusing to be dragged under along with her. That's not selfish, it's survival. Not the asshole. I didn't respond because I didn't know how to without saying, "I told you so." "I told you so" is 100% the most appropriate answer.